Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee Shop Thursday. Yeah, the time when you sit around with your big mug of coffee, and you share. You share with your friends. Oh, what's going on in the world? What's happening with your family? But hey, you share your incredible knowledge of the Bible. Yeah, that's what you do. But don't be a show-off. All right, just please don't be a show-off. Share so that we can all grow in faith. That's the important thing. But hey, you know what? I mentioned this yesterday on Wake Up Wednesday, how we are now in that portion of time of the church year in which our calendar just starts moving along. And you have a choice. We have a choice in our Revised Common Lectionary of Old Testament lessons to choose from. We can go on a track that's kind of flowing and goes with one book and then moves on to another book and moves on, okay? Or we can do one that just moves in a different direction and just kind of nitpicks here and there and everywhere, all right? Well, in the continuous flow, we kind of got dumped right in the middle of 1 Kings, simply because Easter was later this year. So now we're starting after a really interesting story, and you all know it. You remember it from Sunday school days, from 1 Kings, just before chapter 19, from which our lesson comes this week if we choose to do it. We're not going to do it in our church, but anyhow, you have the famous story of Elijah and the prophets of Baal up there in that mountain. And prophets of Baal, they're beating themselves silly trying to get this sacrifice to catch on fire. And Elijah goes, "Move aside, guys." And he throws a ton of water on it and calls upon God. And God sends fire on it and consumes the sacrifice. And then this is the kind of, part of the story. Elijah kills all those prophets. All right. So the word gets back to the king, Ahab, of what happened. Ahab tells his wife, who is not a Yahweh believer, but whose prophets Elijah just killed, what had happened. And she goes, "You know what? He's dead. He's dead meat. I'm going after him." So what happens? Elijah is on the run. And as he's on the run, he gets tired out. And finally, he just curls up in a ball and says, "God, just take me right now. I see no value in what I've been doing. I've been faithful to you, and nothing's coming of it. I mean, after all these wonderful things that have happened, it's all for nothing. Take me now. Kill me." And he crawls up in a ball to die. What happens? Well, a couple of angels come along and say, "Elijah, what are you doing? Get up. Come on, eat. You got a long journey ahead of you." He gets up and eats a little bit, goes back to bed. Again, the angel comes, "Get up and eat. Come on. You got to get moving." And he does. For 40 days and 40 nights. Doesn't that sound familiar? Sounds like Noah and the flood. Sounds like what Jesus is going to be doing when he's tempted. 40 days, 40 nights. And finally he ends up in this cave. And he's in this cave, and this voice comes to him. "What are you doing here, Elijah?" It's God. It's God speaking to him. And he just pours out his heart and soul again and says, "You know what? Listen, this is useless, God. It's just not working out. Nobody listens to me. In fact, you've even kind of abandoned me. So just take me now. Just kill me." And God says, "Elijah, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out to the front of the cave. I want you to stand there, and I want you to just wait." And I want to read this portion of 1 Kings 19 because it's really, really good. Okay. So he set out from there and... Oh, no. Sorry. I got to back up just a little bit. I was a little ahead of myself. Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Now there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after that, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, The sound of sheer silence. Ah, the sound of sheer silence. I love that. God isn't in all these spectacular things going on. He's in that sound of sheer silence. That's the New Revised Standard Version translation. In the Hebrew, it's even neater. It's the sound of soft stillness. How do you like that? Sound of soft stillness. In the Aramaic, which much of the scripture was written in Aramaic before it ever made it into our English, the voice of those praising softly. But I bet you remember it in the old King James Version. The still, small voice. Yes, see, all of that captures the essence of how Elijah was now experiencing God. Sometimes you have to move away from all the noise. You have to move away from all the pizzazz and the jazz. I mean, come think about it. On that night in which those prophets of Baal were defeated and put to death, there was a lot of wild and crazy stuff going on up on that mountain. But now it's time for Elijah to listen, to just get away from it all, to let God speak to him on the inside with that still, small, quiet, softly praising voice. You put it all together if you want. It all says the same thing. It's what you and I need to do as well. We need to get away. We need to have those quiet moments like I'm having right now. Out here, I hear my chickens, and I can hear the dogs barking every now and then, but the birds are singing. It's quiet. There's no wind. It's still. We need to be still and silent to hear God's voice in our lives. Give it a try this day on this Coffee Shop Thursday. But be sure you wake up first with a little caffeination, okay? Because you want to be ready to hear that voice. God's blessings be with you.